Hey ratbags, it's Jade, welcome back to another news video today, taking another look at Subnautica 3 and the confirmation that multiplayer is going to be coming to the next game in the Subnautica universe. I did a video about a week ago now telling you guys that I got word from one of the developers on Twitter, i.e. I just looked at his tweets, and he confirmed that they are working on separate games at the studio. So just to recap quickly, Charlie Cleveland, the creator of Subnautica, has been working on a separate strategy game set in a sci-fi universe for the last few years. Krafton, the makers of PUBG, bought out the studio of Unknown Worlds to help finance stuff, but it looks like Unknown Worlds still have their own creativity, so no underwater battle royale. Abraxas, one of the developers at Unknown Worlds, tweeted this a couple of weeks ago nearly now, "Come work with us on the next game in the Subnautica series. It's going to be an amazing journey." He replied back to me as well that they've got multiple studios or teams at the studio. So, confirmed, there is going to be a third Subnautica game and there is going to be a brand new game called Project M at the moment. Now, I did get a few little rubbish comments from some people stating that nope, they've not said this at all, the next game is going to be, in fact, just a strategy game. And I'm guessing that might have something to do with a PC gamer who didn't see fit to do a bit of research before publishing an article stating that the next game was only the strategy game. Literally on the same day that one of the lead developers of Subnautica was tweeting saying they're working on the next Subnautica sequel, PC Gamer went and done this report. Even 3 days later they were still tweeting it out on Twitter, and I even tried correcting them with the right info, but they still haven't managed to update their story, so maybe get on that. Now in the video I told you guys about what I expected with the next game, some hints and clues possibly about maybe next biomes, but it's all just hearsay. Like, I think it could be set in some sort of desert or tropical paradise alongside the water, to go opposite what we've just had with all the cold, but that was just me having a bit of a mess around. And in the video I did also take a big portion of it to say that what I have seen over the years, the biggest bit of feedback is to add co-op to Subnautica. Now maybe I should have been a bit more clear, and maybe I should have actually spelt multiplayer correctly, as I'm just realising in the thumbnail it's spelt wrong. But it's true, if you take a look at forums, you take a look at the Steam reviews, Subnautica is one of the best reviewed games ever in terms of survival. And the sequel's still fantastic reviewed. Over 87% of people that have played it have said it's great. So you can disagree and say you don't like the second one compared to the first one, whatever. But for sure, undeniably, co-op, some way to play the game with others, has always been something a lot of people have wanted. And I told you guys that it was once a concept they were toying with in early development of Subnautica, but they decided that it was just too much time, and they'd maybe hopefully revisit it in the future with a different engine, with the dream from Charlie himself, the creator, being that you could pilot a big massive submarine and you'd need multiple people to possibly do so. So I was very surprised to wake up this morning to Charlie comment on my video. Well, maybe not as surprised, I did at him on Twitter, and he has confirmed. Good job at sleuthing around and reading between the lines. Yep, I've been working on the new turn-based strategy game for 4 years. There are some reasons why we didn't practice open development with it, but you won't have to wait for too much longer for it. Hope you like it even more than Subnautica. I wish we could have given you multiplayer for Subnautica and Below Zero, but I'd be very surprised if we didn't have it in the next one. Charlie is a good guy. Charlie used to do a dev blog that you could sign up for, and it's just musings on game dev and stuff like that, and I always found them pretty informative. And overall he seems to be a decent developer, actually making sure his staff are well worked, maybe not over crunched, and pretty much the opposite of what you see in other mainstream big game companies where they're just basically taking the piss out of their staff. So there we go. I don't think you can get any more confirmation than that. And just to say, it is of course the real one. I've followed his channel for a long time. He doesn't upload or do much, but he did try streaming some stuff a little while ago, and it is the real actual creator of Subnautica. So this is going to be fantastic. Now, a good few of the comments in the video still were saying that they wouldn't want multiplayer added. And like I said, I should have been a bit more clearer. Co-op to me is maybe, 2 to 4 players that can join your world. And that's exactly what I think, whatever they do with Subnautica next, that's what it should have. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting they need a game that has 30 people, 50 people. I did use the forest as a reference point where you can have up to another 3 people join your world. And that's the kind of thing that I imagine with Subnautica will have. They're not going to go and add 50 or 70 people to their game. It'll just be a case of having an optional idea of having 2 to 4 players. I know some of you guys said it doesn't need it because it ruins single player games, but again, if you take a look and look at actually play of the forest, you've got the story, you've got the game, and then they literally just open it up and let you have it. They increase the enemies a little bit when you've got more players, but otherwise it's still exactly the same game. It's optional. You don't have to play multiplayer. You don't have to play co-op with your friends. You can still play that game on your own. And I imagine whatever Subnautica are going to do in the future, then that's what will happen with this game. It will be still a single player game if you want it to be, but it will still have some sort of co-op functions added to it. So if you did want to pal around with your friends, you could do. And that would probably be the safe bet. Simply adding a co-op experience to Subnautica, having possibly some ships that you could potentially to get more out of if you've got other players playing with you, or maybe in the story you've got robots that will do the job for you if you're strictly going to play single player. That is one option they could go down with the next game. That said, Unknown Worlds do have actually some experience in making a proper multiplayer game. Natural Selection was one of the first games they ever worked on. It was like a mod developed from Half-Life, I do believe, in the initial stages before making it into a fully fledged actual proper game. I think it's a team of aliens versus humans, and I can't say I've ever played it or know too much about it, other than that seen it a few times the devs from Subnautica talk about it. But yeah, this was their first game that led to get them some finance to actually start making Subnautica. I think the servers for it are still going now. Or maybe the sequel. I think the game was meant to be like a sci-fi take on CSGO, but with a bit more strategy in it too. So what if they are going to go crazy? What if the devs are actually thinking bigger and more different than ever, and it's not going to be just simply co-op added to Subnautica? It may not even be a Subnautica single player game, or a story-led game like we've had in the first two. What if it's something drastically big or different? Now that's only hearsay and there's absolutely no evidence of that I have come across. The safe bet, and I'm probably 90% sure, is that they're just working on another story-led survival game that you'll simply be able to have a few of your friends join you. They'll have some components that work better with multiplayer, machines, tools that co-op players can use, but if you still want to play it single player, they'll have some sort of bots in-game that you can use, like the Spy Penguin. But it's worth thinking about and it's worth discussing, so let me know. And yeah, I am kind of interested about their next game as well. This is the only concept art I think they've ever revealed. A strategy sci-fi game, turn-based, easy to learn but hard to master is the tagline. So yeah, I am curious, Charlie, about this as well. I do like other games other than just survival. Now, when's this all going to happen? Are we going to get a release this year? Who knows? Obviously they're hiring developers now. As I said, it's been nearly a year since Below Zero came out. They're still working on improvements and updates to both of their previous Subnautica games, and that's across all consoles and platforms. So the safe bet is that you probably won't see anything this year. From what I can remember though, there wasn't much lead up to the news that Below Zero was going to release, like only a few months. So who knows in game dev? If they've been working it secretly, prepping, getting everything ready for pre-production, then we might see it enter early access, and the development studio obviously liked that model, so I can't see why they probably wouldn't use it once more. But yeah, great stuff, and thanks again Charlie for commenting and actually confirming. So there we go, Subnautica 3 is happening. Subnautica 3 is going to have some sort of multiplayer or co-op experience. We don't know what kind of game it's going to be, but the safe bet is it's going to be more of what we expect, just with that additional flavour, if you want it, of inviting some friends to pal around with you swimming under the water. They've got another game, Project M, on the way as well. It looks like we're going to get news about that. And judging by how secretive they've been over it, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not based on maybe some well-known IP. Because that's normally the only reason you have big secrecy around a project, is if it is something massive that you can't really talk about, or the actual owners of it want it to be timed. Again, just hearsay for me, but reading between the lines and stuff. So whatever news we get about that, I will deliver it to you guys, just in case you are interested in seeing what it's all about. And there we go, as always, the home of survival games news, RPG and open world games and guides. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll catch you later.